Okay, I need you guys to bring the volume down here, please and thank you. Number 11, what's the first thing we do? Factor out that negative. Is there any other GCF? No. So it's going to become negative bracket x squared plus 8xy plus 9y squared. Now what do I do? This looks like an exactly the same as actually this should be negative 8xy minus 9y squared. Aiken, what's your question about this one? Because this is very similar to an example I did.
I just don't get how the negative.
Well, one of the things I told you when we were dealing with the minus signs was you have to, that leading coefficient needs to be positive. So always include the negative as part of what you factor out, if there is one on the leading term.
But why do you change the addition sign?
Because when I divide now everything by a negative, the x squared becomes positive, the 8x becomes negative, and the 9y 9y squared becomes negative. Because when you divide a positive by a negative, the answer is negative.
Okay.
Shall I continue, or are we good? Do I need to go further than that, Akam? Some people want me to keep going. Okay, what is my next step? Carolyn, I saw your hand earlier. What's the next step? No, what's the step? Carolyn, what's the step? Okay, guys. Yeah, so what do I got to do that?
So we're just gonna think what multiplies to negative 9 and adds to negative 8. And then, so it's negative 9 and negative 9 and 1, negative 1 and negative 9, negative 3, negative 3, and that's it.
That's it. You are correct. So then the ones that we want are?
Negative 9 and 1.
That bad boy. So then your answer?
X minus 9 times x plus 1.
Almost.
Oh, that's y. And y.
You need the y's in there. Okay. And then 15 was the next one you wanted me to do, Akam? Okay, let's flip to 15. Okay. Ooh, gooder. It's a good one. We like this one. You've got two options. You've got what I taught you to do. And then you've got what Danny likes to do.
I don't even know.
You know what you like to do.
Okay.
So the thing I taught you to do is what I heard 10-meter Angel, maybe it was Angel. I factor out that negative. What could I, when I only have two terms here, what could I do instead? Danny.
I don't know if this is right, but I did negative bracket a plus 8b bracket a minus 8b. I have no idea if that's correct or not.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be.
It will be.
I didn't go
The alternative is, so the reason I say, Danny, that you like to do this, because you asked me, you actually asked me about this last week. You said,
remember.
what if I take this question and just write it like this?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's also totally acceptable, and this is a neat little, it works best for different, it basically exclusively works for difference of squares. So this would become 8b minus a and 8b plus a. These two answers are the same. But again, you've got to factor out that, if you're going to leave it like this, you have to factor out that negative. So it becomes 8 negative bracket a squared minus 64b squared bracket. And then you factor that and get this.
So.
But this and this are the same.
Wait, is that one, the top one, finished?
Yep.
Is there more? Oh, okay.
It's done.
You said it's not correct yet, or something, I don't know.
No, I didn't say it was the only, that was not the only thing that was correct.
Right, okay.
But it is correct. It's done,
Both of them are.
it's good, and these two are the same. Akam, you said you wanted number 21.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
we did that with number 11. If we just did the 8xy plus 9y squared minus x squared.
You would want to make it 9y squared plus 8xy minus x squared. No, don't do that. No, I would not reorder anything with 11.
Okay.
You ought to factor out the GCL with 11.
If it's like a two-term thing?
A two-term thing, yeah.
With squares.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Akam, you wanted 21 as well, right? Sure. Okay, so 21. What's your question?
I didn't know how to do this one either.
Well, is there a GCF, Acom?
No.
Is it a difference of squares?
No.
So then all I can do is find two numbers that do what?
Multiply 16.
And what are those two numbers? You betcha.
Oh, hey, never mind.
So, okay, then what do I do?
Anybody else questions from the odd numbers?
Hold on. Hold on.
Any other questions from the odd numbers?
Oh, right. I asked for 18. Can you explain 21?
Well, you want two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to 8?
Yeah, I get that part. And then you do the x's
Yeah.
and the y's.
Yeah.
Where'd the other x go?
What other x?
Well, I guess it makes sense once you distribute it. But
Then we're done.
right.
Because that's the whole point, is you're undoing the distribution.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from the odds? Going once, twice, thrice. Evens. What numbers am I doing? What questions am I doing off the evens? 6 it is. Ooh, 6 is a nice one.
I just don't know what I'm doing.
Like in general, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're following that pink page.
Other 6.
What other 6?
The other one.
There was no other 6.
Yes, there is.
I didn't from the odds page.
Plus r minus 9.
This one?
Yeah.
I didn't assign that one.
What? No, but can you do it?
Okay.
I thought you said just even.
I want two numbers that multiply to negative 90 and add to 1.
Right. Okay, that's what I switched r.
Yeah, I thought it too as well, and I thought kind of like a graph.
Yeah, if there's no number written in front of the coefficient, it's a 1.
Right. Okay. I'll try and get that
What are we doing, Gavin?
Where's the other?
Okay. Evens. Questions from the evens. Anybody? Anybody? Sorry?
Can we do 6?
Eventually. Evens first.
Can we do 6 on that one too?
6 on the evens? Because it's pretty easy. Follow my instructions.
Yeah. Okay.
I want two numbers that do what? There's no GCF, not a difference of squares. I want them to multiply 2
I know what I'm. Never mind.
and add 2.
That makes sense.
Okay. Next.
Okay.
But you need to hear if you can get yourself to the point where you can hear me in your head asking you these questions, you're set. Sit there on the test. What would Dweedoff say? WWDD.
That's right.
What would Dweedoff do?
What? Yeah.
Right? What questions would he ask me right now? And then ask yourself those questions, and you're set.
So is our whole test just going to be on this?
Basically.
Is it going to be like, factor kind of completely and then factor completely?
Yeah.
or
No, it's always factored as far as you know
As
how.
far as you know now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else from the evens? There's a bunch in there. Because as soon as if no one asks about the evens, then Gavin's going to ask me about extra practice. Carolyn. 16. I thought there was a few. Okay, so 16, here we go. Is that thing,
That isn't a division. That's plus, right?
is there a GCF there? That is addition, correct.
Yeah.
Is there a GCF there?
No.
Is that a difference of squares? No. So then the only other thing you could do is find two numbers that add to 100 multiply to 100 and add to 0, and no such numbers exist. So this is not yet factorable.
But why want to go x plus y minus 50 equals y plus 50.
Well, you expand that out and you tell me how bad that looks. At some point, you're doing 50 times 50 to expand that thing.
Oh.
That would be awful. That adds to 0.
So wait, you're supposed to find a number that multiplies to...
Okay, I'm hearing lots of discussion, guys. I want to make sure we're all good with this. Ladies and gentlemen, the way this thing's set up, there is no middle term. So if you're trying to think about it like, well, it's not a difference of squares, so I need two numbers that multiply to 100 and add to 0. There are no such numbers that multiply to a positive number and add to 0. It's just not. Armand, we good? Because you were the one asking about this a second ago. What about minus 10? Okay. Because minus 10 and minus 10 is going to add to negative 20. You don't want that. It will multiply to positive 100. What about negative 10 and 10? Well, that's going to multiply to negative 10. 10 and 10 are going to add to 20 and multiply to positive 100. So there is no combination of numbers that you are aware of yet that will deal with this. Yet.
What's that supposed to mean? Like next year?
Because if you remember, I showed you the quadratic equation, the quadratic formula. I'll show you how it works right now. I'm going to do, because I've been doing it since I was in grade 10, which is when I was 15, which is almost 20 years ago. And I've been a math teacher for almost as long as y'all been alive.
Yeah.
So, I have it memorized. This thing, remember, looks like ax squared plus bx plus c. I'll show you how it works. I will not expect you to understand this now, but I'll show you how it works. So you take the values for a, b, and c as they're listed in the equation that we're using, and you plug them into this. So right now, our b value here is going to be 0. A is going to be 1, and c is going to be 100. Because the middle term would have an x and a y in it. So it's going to be 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 minus 4 times 1 times 100 divided by 2. Well, this is going to give me plus or minus the square root of negative 400 over 2. This thing is what? What do you know about this answer? Think back to our very first chapter. The square root of negative numbers is associated with what number system? Sorry, louder. The complex numbers. This solution is imaginary. No, the square root of negative 400 is I times 20. No, that's when the exponent is negative. No, this is as gross as it gets. So this actually is going to be equal to the square root of 400 is 20. So it's going to be plus or minus 10i is technically the roots or the factored version of this. So it's going to be x plus 10iy and x minus 10iy. So as far as you're concerned, not yet factorable. Ignore everything I wrote.
How do you know which letters are which numbers?
A always goes with the front, B goes with the middle term, C goes with the last term. So the same format would be like ax squared plus bxy plus cy squared. So that's why 16 is not yet factorable. Because Acom's now upset that I even mentioned this all in class. You said you're now more confused than you were before. Gavin, you wanted a question out of the extra practice.
I got it.
You got it? Okay. There is much in the extra practice. Did anyone do any extra practice? Want to see any extra? Yeah? Oh, who also wants to see something done out of the extra practice? Carolyn. Well, the answers are at the back. This gross page here, all the answers. Okay, so if there are no further questions, here's what we're going to do. Today and tomorrow, I'm going to give you the review. Wednesday morning? No. Wednesday is CDAB. So you guys are writing it after lunch. If on Wednesday you are concerned about the length of time that you're going to write this test, you may come at lunch. That's how it's going to be. See? Okay, so here's your review. You may work on this today and tomorrow. She might not have. Okay. So what I would like you guys to do. One sec, Jennifer. Rebecca, one sec. What I would like you to do is this front page. I would love it if you did not cram the front page onto the front page. Carmen. You do this. I've seen you do this. It's not just you. It's like 2/3 of this class will do this. Okay? But starting after that first page, this one here, yeah, feel free just to fill that little chart in. Nice and easy. And then I give you space. And then I give you lots of space. And there's lots of factoring. And this is what you shall do. If you have questions while you do what you are doing, I will happily assist you. Otherwise, here's the review. Get up, come grab it, take the work. You out here, Riley? You out here? See you later. Grab a review, and you may begin. And I'm going to finish marking your guys' tests. Yes, Gavin. Yes, there is. No. You want to multiply negative 6 and add the positive 3. And then you do bracket x plus 6y bracket x minus y, 1y, and you have that negative 4. Okay. Everyone should have one review. Have you been watching? Did you watch the videos that I posted while you were gone? Oh boy, none of them? Oh boy. Oh boy. Armand? I know this, I have no issue with that. That's the issue. There's the issue. That's the issue right there. I've heard about the shenanigans of you and Jay in food class. Sounds like you socialize enough other places. You know what? You socialize enough other. But then what did I witness? I did not witness him going anywhere. He was here. He was minding his own business, and you went out of your way to approach him, to distract him, and then you moved back to your desk. Yeah, no, this is exactly my problem. Jacob, this is exactly my problem. You may. Okay, so, giver, and I'm going to finish marking.